Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to another episode of the Big Movement Podcast. Today we have a special guest. We have Neha Sonney, who is a life coach specializing in emotional intimacy, where she helps people get in touch with their emotions, getting them to open up, learning to become vulnerable, which ultimately has impact on the success they have in life, because when you learn to become authentic, people can truly connect with you. So with that, let's give a warm welcome to Neha. So Neha, welcome.
Thank you, Byron. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone.
Oh, you're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a life coach and emotional intimacy? Is, you hear people being life coaches in different areas, but not every day is someone focusing in on emotional intimacy.
Well, this is a subject very close to my heart. I like intimacy a lot, and that's something over the years I realized that never built for myself. This has something to do with childhood, since childhood. And I only learned about this much later in my life, almost close to when I have my child. And that's when it starts to, the whole learning process, the whole personal development came in 10 years back, when I'm questioning myself, what is this all about? And since then, I have been pursuing this quest for getting more and more in touch with myself. And it's been quite rewarding, I have to say.
Oh, excellent. And it's always a rewarding journey when you discover something that you're passionate about. It's something that can help you. So now, how did you come into becoming a life coach, as it's something that not everyone wakes up in the beginning of life and says, I'm just going to be a life coach? What did you do beforehand?
Well, I did not sign up for this until somewhere last year, but the process had begun much before, so there was a lot of personal development that went for so many years. Besides, I had been exposed to yoga from a very young age, and I kept the practice. I didn't know how it must have impacted me. And I also learned, I had a training in teaching Hatha Yoga. And that got me also into practicing meditation. Most of my time in Hong Kong, I have been teaching at schools and learning centers as an English teacher. But in my journey, what I was actually doing was supporting and encouraging children, because that's something they don't receive from their parents, or even in the education system. There is no support, there is no encouragement. Now, this goes back to my childhood, and it's like, I really understand and I can relate with this. This is exactly what I went through, and that was close to home. So I bring that. So more than teaching, I'm doing a lot of mentoring and supporting and boosting of morale, which is something I never had for myself back then, but I had to give it to myself, so I understand and value it so much more. And being able to see that and help people, and there must be so many people who have those little children hidden, wanting all that attention that they never got, and they're walking around as adults, but they still need that part nurtured in them. So this is where I want to bring in the difference. So I had my coaching training sometime last year. So besides the yoga and the English teaching that was behind there, I had my coaching training last year in August with Coach You. And since then, I have been on this coaching journey to help people get deeper in touch with myself, because that's where I also have helped myself a lot. Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting that you mentioned that there's that lack of support and encouragement with children. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because for some people, they might not understand, well, what do you mean by that? It's like in terms of there not being that support and encouragement.
Well, this is the case in Hong Kong, or let's say even Asian parenting. They want the best for their children, but they don't realize how much they're pushing their children into doing something that the child has no capability for. And what the child actually is capable of, that's never ever acknowledged or even explored. All they want is academic results from them and have ridiculously high expectations. Now, not everyone is going to become a doctor. Not everyone is going to become a scientist. They are artists, or they're something else, and that's okay. But because the parents have never been able to, they haven't experienced something like this in their upbringing. They don't know another way. And this just goes not just into education, but in a way of upbringing and into life. So children are being brought up with such lack of self-esteem, and not be able to make decisions for themselves, and not being able to get the independence. I came across that a lot when I was growing up. So I to give that to children, that's important, and to have that in people, and for people to see that no, they are capable, that also is important. So it's not just the children, but also these adults that have not received that in their childhood, when they realize, or when they are in touch with that, okay, no, this is not the actual me that people, like the way I was brought up, but there is more to me. When they see that in themselves, it just brings out another part, or another unseen flavor to their personality, and they just love it, because this is something that explored
Right.
in a different way. They never have.
So, what impact does it have on somebody if, in terms of their childhood, if they were pushed into doing things like to become a doctor or something along those lines, but they really want to be an artist? What are those complications that you see people experiencing as an adult that they have to start handling?
Some cope with it, and some just kill their soul. I see people who, they just live life the way they think, okay, this is how it is, and this is how I live it. And they have completely disconnected from their souls. There are some who struggle. There's some who throw in the towel, and they want to find out, and they want to pursue their dreams, but don't know the way. They don't know the way out. And that's like in terms of career wise. In terms of life, they could turn out to be rebels. I can talk about myself.
Yeah.
I'm a rebel. So there comes a point, if you're so pressured, then you could become a rebel. Now, it could take two different ways, or many different ways. In Hong Kong, there's a big issue of teenagers suiciding, because it's very tough. The system is very tough. So it's dangerous, very dangerous, to have someone do something that they're just not capable of, and not give them any other way out, or any way of expression.
Right.
So,
I can definitely see that, because if someone is being pushed to do things that's outside of their capabilities, you're always falling behind, that you're having to work hard knowing that no matter what, it's not meeting those standards, and that can create a severe amount of frustration, which then leads people to do dramatic and drastic things, unfortunately.
Yes, it's unfortunate.
And you mentioned that you were a rebel. What did you mean by that? Is like, were you just rebelling against what your parents had wanted you to do and decided to do your own thing?
Yes, it comes to, well, coming to Hong Kong was completely an unexpected kind of a chapter. In a way, I did not plan to go to Hong Kong ever. So an arranged marriage is what brought me to Hong Kong, to somebody who I don't know at a personal level or even understood what marriage is about. So, but I was there in the system, and I realized, okay, this is not what I want. This is not my idea of what it's supposed to be like. But then what is it supposed to be like? And it was a long process, and I realized, okay, no, I want out, and I have only been listening to everyone else and keeping everyone happy except me. So I decided I choose my happiness, and I step out of an arrangement that is not working for me. Just because everyone else is going to be happy, I am not going to do that.
Right.
So I took the decision of stepping out of my marriage.
Wow. Now, that's pretty, I guess, something that's rebellious if you look at the whole concept of arranged marriages. What was that like going through it, that you're moving someplace to marry someone that you didn't know? What was going through your mind in that process?
At that time, I only wanted one person to be okay with me and be happy with me, and that person happened to be my mother. I never realized, or only later, many years later, have I come to a realization that that's never going to happen, and this is an acceptance I have to give to myself. Back then I didn't know, and I didn't have that awareness, so all I did was to seek her happiness, and that's all I did, and give into the system and stay fearful. That's what it was back then.
Wow. And you touched upon something that's important, I think, for people to understand, and that's when it comes to happiness, that you have to do things that are going to make yourself happy, that if you're trying to make someone else happy, it can become something that's impossible.
Yeah.
That has a dramatic impact. So what was it like to break free from the arranged marriage? How did that impact the relationship with your family?
It took them, I think they're still not okay with it, or they may have accepted some parts of it. I'm my own person now, and some bits are okay with them, some parts of me are not okay with them, with me living the life I want to live, and there's nothing they can say or do about it, because I have taken this decision, because it's my life, and my life will not be lived on their terms. So I wanted it to be respected. The day I decided long time back, okay, I want to end my marriage, and it took me 9 years to break out of it. But I knew this was what I really wanted, so this was a very, very conscious decision on my part. And when I did that, when it happened, I have not looked back since. never did I once say, oh, I wish I had that security or whatever. Because
Right.
it's not serving me one bit. I have
Right.
grown so much more as a person.
Right. I can imagine. Now, why did it take 9 years to ultimately leave the marriage?
There's tremendous pressure from two extremes of the families.
Right.
Yes, no one wanted this. No one. And I was having no one's support. So basically, I'm not married just to the guy. I'm married to the whole family, and everyone has a say except for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dramatically different than how you typically think of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and because of that, and moving into someone and living with in-laws, it just didn't help to even establish a bond with someone I didn't even know at a personal level. So
Mm-hmm.
it was very different, and which is why this is so important to me. Whoever it is that I now will have in the future in my life, for me, the knowing of the self and emotional connection and being mentally able to relate with someone is so important. So that's something I consciously want to create in my life now.
Right.
A
I
beautiful
can see how.
relationship.
Oh, definitely. I can see how it has helped shape you to understand the importance of being in touch with yourself so you can do the things that truly matter to you,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to keep everybody else happy,
Yes.
which is how most people go through life.
Yes.
So,
I believe if it's
now,
not serving you, it's not serving anyone else.
right, exactly. So, now, how did you come across the notion of emotional intimacy in terms of life coaching? When you look at the various aspects of it, how do you truly help people tap into their emotions, things that they might have been taught to ignore or to just be taught to that they don't exist?
That's something very interesting. I have facilitated 2 workshops, similar in many ways, and I create this space where people can just open up. So I'm asking very casual questions or very basic question that one can answer about themselves. And this is not normal conversation. I'm going to ask you something. What's your favorite song and why? And I ask everyone the same question. And in this manner, I ask people the questions, and then they answer. And everyone gets to know a little bit about everyone in a way they never have. People don't make conversation these days. People don't do this kind of things. They just on their little screens, staring at their screens, or they're just to themselves. So I help facilitate this because it's I want this for others. It's important to me, so I want this for others. And then I take this understanding, this base that is built on asking those questions. I take it to the next level, which is the physical, and then I take it to the last bit is the emotional level, where they are sharing like in pairs with each other their feelings. So they're not going to be doing that at the first stage, which is why it takes a while to build that, and that's what the workshop is about. In terms of coaching, it takes a while because it's one-on-one. It takes people time to open up. Well, because I come across as someone that they feel that they're not being judged in the way most people judge them. they're able to warm up to me. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes 2 weeks, one session per week, so it takes that much longer for them to open up. But then they do open up, and when they do, they are so much happier to share a lot more about themselves.
Right. Exactly. It's creating the environment is so important for people to be able to open up and coming in touch with themselves, especially if a lot of the people that you're working with, if that's a common thing for them to not do at all.
I'm sorry?
In terms of people are not able to open up at all, if that's the culture that people are raised in.
Yes.
For them to truly tap into their potential.
Yes. Until very recently, this was intimacy coaching. And then when I raised this word, the next thing, I didn't realize that people think that way. Because of the way I have it in my head, intimacy is way deeper than what people consider as like just physical intimacy, which is sex. Well, and that's what people think. I didn't realize that, so I changed that to emotional intimacy, because that's what I help facilitate. I help establish that. Because that people were like, "Oh, intimacy coach. She must be a sex coach," whatever. But that's not what I. Well, I am interested in sacred sexuality, which is building of emotional connection with, or even deeper connection with another person, which is not just physical intimacy, right? So yes, it's way deeper. It's emotional intimacy, that's important, which is missing in so many relationships.
And how's it missing in different relationships?
People not being able to communicate well with their partners. I feel they just need to be better equipped with how they can communicate. Besides that, there's so many different ways one can relate. Even if, let's say, a person, if a person is not loved in the way they want to feel loved, they're not going to feel loved, no matter how much we try, right?
Right.
So that's again something people don't have much clarity or even understanding about, even when they are in relationships. Maybe they're couples or whatever, but there's always these kind of things. They're together, but then they're really not together. There's lack of communication in relationships because it just stops after a certain time. It just stops because we're dealing with two different personalities.
Right. Oh, definitely. So if you're looking at that communication aspect, if people are not communicating in a relationship, how long do you really think it takes before they start drifting apart and then it's no longer a relationship at all?
It can be so many years. I come across this so many times. 10 years. Yeah, people stay in relationships for I don't know, the strangest reasons. And yeah, it can be 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a long time if someone is staying in a relationship without any type of emotional intimacy there, which then impacts the entire situation, where they go from being truly intimate with each other on all different levels to being roommates, essentially.
Yes, it's I find it so it's so sad. It's really sad. Which is why I want to bring in the change. I want to bring in the make it better for them as much as possible, because we as humans, we have the capacity to bring a soul, another being on earth. how conscious are we when we are in the act of making a baby, really? What energies are you putting in there? Are you aware of that?
Right.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Conscious creation, not just, it doesn't necessarily have to be around a family creating, not just making babies, but consciously creating every single thing and putting in thought.
Right. Exactly. That's what it's about. You have to create the world that you truly want to live in. And it's based off of the actions that you take.
Yes.
So right now, how are you getting your message out there? Because it's something that people need to know more of, about becoming more intimate with their emotions, because it impacts so many areas of one's life.
For me, I've recently joined the Toastmasters in Hong Kong, and I speak about, I just come out and speak about myself and share, whether it's a speech or whether it's a 2-minute topic that I have to speak about. And that's where I tell people, okay, I did this, and I kind of, basically I'm sharing stuff about how I achieved my dream, and I was scared, and how I was fearful. And some people are able to relate with that, they're able to connect with that, and they want to know how to go about doing that. And they like it. I also have reached out through Facebook. I don't have a website yet, but I do have a page. It's called Infinite Wisdom, where I share a lot of quotes. I love sharing quotes. I love sharing, sometimes I write up posts as well. I haven't done in a while. So I write up posts, and I like to share whatever it is whatever is concerning, bothering me at that moment, and I want to write about it and share about it. So that's how I reach out. I reach out by emails as well. I once also tried these 45-minute discovery coaching sessions, where people would just come in and pay what they wish. And that's another way to reach out to people. Apart from that, podcasts.
Right, definitely. Podcasts are a great way to get your message out there, to share your story, because you really have a powerful one, as there's a lot of people in the world who they've lost touch with their emotions. Or there's someone like yourself who is in that arranged marriage and they're not happy. They're in it because they're trying to make their family happy, and not realizing that at the end of the day, they're the ones who matter most in terms of being happy.
Yeah, I would want to understand how, because my background, as in I don't have a career to call in Hong Kong, as I did not establish one, so I don't have a corporate background at all. But this is where I see it's so badly needed, where everyone is so closed off and so cold. I wish I could reach out to them and do something about it. So I do have some male people who are somewhere in the coaching industry who I might want to collaborate with to be able to facilitate something like this and reach out to people. So for now, it's like more a workshop facilitations where I can reach out to people to at least share what it is I have to share. Because if someone hasn't had a coaching experience with you, they are not going to hire you as a coach, right? So it's and so far it's more of workshop facilitations that I focus on, and basically has much one-on-one talks and a lot of listening. even when it's just absolutely casual listening. They want to feel heard. People want to share their story. They really want to feel heard, and no one in Hong Kong does that in the way I do it.
Yeah. Well, there's a large opportunity there if you have a large number of people who are closed off to their emotions, especially in Hong Kong. And if you just look around the world, how many people need to discover who they are on the inside so they can start doing the things that truly help them to become happy?
Mm-hmm. There's many
Right.
people. Millions.
Oh, yes. There's quite a few out there. So, when you look at everything, what is one thing that people can do today that they can learn how to become more in touch with their emotions so they can start doing the things that make them happy?
This is something more of a recent revelation I had, and people seem to just negate all the negative emotion they feel. It's not okay to feel angry. It's not okay to feel sad. They just push it away with food, alcohol, smoking, whatever. It doesn't matter. Even if they're not doing those things, they're doing other things too. Like, okay, no. Let me just distract myself and just go out with my friends or anything. Read, do anything where I'm not being with myself, right? So if what the idea is to experience whatever it is you're feeling in that moment, because it's only a feeling. It's not gonna last for the rest of your life. It's only there for that minute. That needs calling for your attention, and it's okay to feel that. It will go away. So as long as you're acknowledging that, however, whatever it is your way to acknowledge that and see it for what it is, that's one thing that's going to make you feel accepted and feel okay for whatever it is you're feeling. And you're not gonna, everyone may judge you, but you will not judge yourself, and you will love yourself a little bit more, and that's important.
Right. Definitely. It makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. That's for certain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on to the Big Movement podcast today. How can people be able to reach out to you to learn more about what you do with emotional intimacy?
Well, they can... I'm on Facebook, and my Facebook page is Infinite Wisdom 999 / that's one way to connect with me.
Okay.
If people want to reach out to me via email, that's can I say my email here?
Oh, yes, definitely.
It's optimisticcoachk@gmail.com. The spelling goes optimisticcoachk@gmail.com. Optimistic Coach.
Oh, excellent. That's awesome. I want to definitely thank you again for coming on. So, with sharing your wisdom about emotional intimacy, and then how did you break free from an arranged marriage so you can start living life on your terms?
I'm sorry, was that a question? I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, just thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Very, very nice talking, and very nice speaking with you. Wonderful questions. Thank you so much for allowing me to express myself over here on your platform. Thank you. It was wonderful.
Oh.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.